So now we will discuss about action region, action polar, remote action, and Ajax toolkit. These are the topics which we are going to discuss. Right. So people are worried when the batch is going to be closed. Right. So let me mention the few topics which are left out. jQuery is still left out. Custom metadata. And have you done the schema programming with you? Yes or no?
No, Pati.
Schema, flows and plugins. Now, I'll do one thing. Custom components. Custom components and actions. So probably I need 1 day for this. 1 day for this. So if any other things are there, I'll be covering under. So this I'll be taking. Then apart from this, deployment, version controlling. Yes. So probably I will take around 5 to 6 days to complete the syllabus with the deployment. Project explanation will be taking a week time, maybe 1 more week. So hopefully the next week I'll be finishing up the syllabus. By Friday I'll try to finish the syllabus. Deployments I'll be covering again. Right. So at any cost, the batch will close by 13th. Okay, I may extend or I'll take extension or something, but by 13th I'll be finishing off. Okay, along with the project I'll be finishing off on 13th. Right. Along with the project I'll be finishing by 13th of this month, 13th of this April. Right. With the project. Right. So come back. You want to finish earlier also, I can finish it. Not a problem. So finishing can be done at any time. No, not a problem. If you're in a hurry, I can finish off. Right. Now, let us go to a quick functionality. Action region. What is this action region and how it is implemented? So if you are going with action region, So I've taken name city. Whenever you call this method, the data will be printed. Result equal to source. Now, let me take a VF page. What was the bug here?
You have taken simply its phone.
Then I'm going to VF page. Page block. So look at the structure. Input text. Value equal to. Input text. Value equal to. This is what I have given. Now I was giving action support for this. Action support, event, on change, action, this is what I have given. Action support, event, on change, action equal to call me. Then have a preview. Try to get my point here. I gave name. Then in the phone I gave whenever the event occurs on change, call me. When you say call me, name is submitted, phone number is submitted. When the event is occurring on the phone, I am calling a method from Apex class. Whenever we are calling a method from the Apex class, the data what I entered in the form, entire data is submitted to Apex class. The moment I enter any event is occurring on the form, whenever any event is occurring in the form, when I call the method from Apex class, entire data in the form is submitted to Apex class. That is how name and phone number came. Now my requirement is don't submit entire data. Only the data of phone number should be submitted. I don't want to submit entire form. I want to submit only phone number. I don't want to submit entire form. I want to submit only phone number. Then what do you do? I'll give you here. Instead of putting like this, put this in Apex action. When I put this in action region, whenever any change occurs on this region, only the data in that region will go to Apex class, not entire page. Whenever the event occurs on this, whenever any change happen on this box, only the data in that region will be submitted. Whenever any event occurs, only the data in the region will be submitted to server. So let us go back here. Same story I am giving. Now name equal to null, phone equal to. So what happened? Only the data in the region submitted to Apex class. I don't want entire data to be submitted. I want only the part of the page to be submitted. Then I will put the data in action region. Now tell me one example where we can use this. Now I have a registration form. Some data is here. Yesterday we have done field dependency, right? What was that? Whenever the city changes, call the method from Apex class. Whenever the city changes, call the method from Apex class. Now, if I apply action support or action function here, then it is going to call some method show. When you call show method, what happened? It is going to submit value of name. When I call show, what happened here? The entire data which is in the form will be submitted. Satish. Then what is the data that is submitted? Satish. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hyderabad. Null. Entire data is going. Now, do you have intention of submitting the form? You are not submitting the form. You want to send a city. Hyderabad, if you send, they will give it places. I am not submitting the form. I am submitting only the value of Hyderabad. But when you call action support, it is calling a method from Apex class. Whenever we are calling a method from Apex class, entire data in the form will be submitted. But are you supposed to submit entire data? Not necessary. What you are supposed to give, if you give city name, it is sufficient. My requirement is when city is modified, get the places. But what is happening? When the city is modified, entire form is going to the Apex class, then getting the places, reloading the page. Why are you reloading the entire page? Why are you submitting entire page? I don't want entire page. I want only Hyderabad value to be submitted. Then what you do? You put this in action. Then what happened? When the city changes, entire form will not be submitted. Only city value will go to Apex class. Then get the places, reload. I hope you got my point. Now, when you don't want entire page to reload, what we have done? Re-render. Don't refresh entire page. Refresh only part of the page. Re-render. Similarly, I don't want to submit entire page. I want to submit part of the page. Then I will go for what? Action region. I hope you're good. So, if I need to go for a field dependency, what is the best choice? Action region. Why? Don't submit entire form. Submit only name of the city. I hope you got my point. Am I clear? Am I clear? When you want only a partial page to be submitted to the server, put that partial page within the action region. Put that partial page within the action region. I hope you're good. I hope you're good. Right. Let us go to the next example. What is the next example we have? We have remote action. I hope you are clear with this context. Clear? Let us go to one more example here, which is called action puller. What is that action puller? Now, This is how we get. So whenever we call count equal to count plus 1 and printing the value of count. So look at this example, everyone. Then action, interval, action, interval 5. Now, first let me show you the output. Right under 1. Now, listen to the context, boss. If you want an action to be performed automatically for every 5 seconds, I want an action to be automatically performed for every 5 seconds. Then what we do? Action puller. When is the action puller? I give 10. Look at the point. Count 5. Now what was that? Count equal to 1. Now if you observe, you are also getting a message called loading. Are you getting? For every 5 seconds, what is happening? You are getting a message called loading, right? Okay, listen to the point. Now what is happening? How the count is incremented? Because we are calling call me. Am I calling every time? No, I have scheduled it. For every 5 seconds, automatically call it. Until what? We can set the interval for 60 seconds, until 60 seconds, until 1 hour, keep on calling it. Are you getting my point here? So if you want some action to be automatically performed after the given interval of time, for a given interval of time, then we go for action puller. Now, I told action puller, run this, okay, with the interval of 5 seconds. For every 5 seconds, that action will be called. Run this for every 5 seconds. Run this for every 10 seconds. Run this for every 120 seconds. We want some action to be performed recursively after a given interval of time. For a given interval of time, then we go for action puller. Okay. Then why are you getting that loading? Right. Now, when you're doing a long running operation, it is taking more time. Let's say 30 seconds or 1 minute it is taking. During that 1 minute, I should know whether it is running or not. At the bottom, what is loading, fetching, that message I want to give. That's called status message. Well, when you're working with a long running operation, now when you do a transaction, financial transaction, once your transaction is underway, don't close the window. Am I right? Like that, I want to print a message. When the transaction starts, I want to print a message, which is called action status. When the operation starts, loading. So that we know that operation started. Are you getting my point? What is the purpose of action puller? If you want any action to be recursively performed for a given interval of time, I will go with the action puller. I hope you're good. Action support, action puller, action support, action function, action region, action puller, action status. Generally, the people will ask you these 5 questions in Visual Force. The generally asked questions in the Visual Force is difference between page block table, data table. How many records we can display in the page block table? What if you want to display 10,000 records in the page block table? Page block table display how many records? Page block table display how many records? Only 1,000. If you want to display 10,000 records, what will you do? Then make read only equal to. It can display 10,000 records. What if you want to display more than 10,000 records? What is the difference between action support, action function? What is the difference between actions, function, remote action? There are limited number of questions on VF. Right? Okay. Come back to the next point. What is the topic we want to discuss? We want to discuss about action region, action support, action function, action puller, action status. Everybody is good with that? Right. When the event occurs, we want to perform some actions. Now the next one is remote action. What is the next topic that we have? Remote action. Action region is clear for everyone. What is the purpose of action region? When you want part of the page to be submitted to, when you want part of the page to be, when you want part of the page to be submitted, when you want part of the page to be submitted to the Apex class, then you put that part of the page in the action region. Action function, whenever an event occurs, we want to perform some action. Whenever an event occurs, we want to invoke a action from the server side. Then we go with the action function. Okay, action support. When you want some event to be occurred, then I go to JavaScript. From the JavaScript, you want to call Apex class method action function. Action support is defined number of times. Action support is defined number of times. Action function is defined only once. Action region, action status. To print the status, action puller. Okay. Boss, these 5 points will be asking frequently in the interview. Make a note of the 5 points. Try to get the basic idea. Okay. Let us go to the next. We are trying to go with the action function. Now we want to go with the remote action. At the rate of. Now what is this at the rate of remote action? Boss, if you want any method from the Apex class to be called directly within the JavaScript. If you want any method from the Apex class to be called directly from the JavaScript, then we go for defining the method as action. Okay, then we define the method as at the rate of remote action. Then you can ask me, action support is also calling, but who is calling? JavaScript is not calling. It is called by action support component. Now, action function is also calling. Who is calling? JavaScript is not directly called. Action function is calling Apex class. JavaScript call action function call JavaScript call action function call Apex class method. But here I want JavaScript to directly call the method. Now listen carefully, boss. Action function calling Apex class method. That is one. Second, you call JavaScript will call action function call Apex class method. So directly we are not calling, we are calling indirectly. But I want Apex class method to be called directly. I want Apex class method to be called directly from JavaScript. How it is possible? Let us see. If you want any method to be called directly, then we have option. What is that? At the rate of remote action. We have to define at the rate of remote action. We have to define it as at the rate of remote action. If you want any Apex class method to be called, directly from the JavaScript, then I have to define at the rate of remote action. So look at this example. Now, tell me one point. In the entire Visual Force, Anywhere did I happen to call a method with parameter? Now, thumb rule is every method we are called in the Visual Force is a method without parameters. Even the constructor, what I called constructor without parameter, except in the extension concept. But remote action, if you want to call remote action will be defined as static. Remote action will be having a return type. Remote action will be having a parameter. Now, static, return type, parameter. Static, return type, parameter. Static, return type, parameter. Now, we are defining a method as a static, return type as string, method with a parameter. Then I give. This is what I call. Now, I want to call this method within the Visual Force page. How to call it? Now I'm giving script. So look at the basic example. Command button, value equal to submit on a complete show. So we had function show. Now what I'm doing, now the question here is, you are supposed to call method from Apex class. When I click on the button, I am calling a JavaScript. From the JavaScript, straight away I want to call the method. How do you call? Name of the class dot method name. Name of the class dot method name. Now call me method. In this class we have a method. How are you calling? Static method, right? How do you call a static method? Class name dot method. It is a static method. How do you call? Class name dot method. What is the parameter it is expecting? Parameter is expecting. I give the parameter. Now, when you call this method will return some result. When you call this method, the method will give you some result. You are calling a method is giving some result. That result I want to capture. How do you capture? Function, result, comma, event. Event will tell success or failure. Result, whatever the method is giving, there is a result. Whatever the method is giving, there is a result. Now, document dot get element by id. Document dot get element by id. Document dot get element by id. Are you getting my point here? So whatever the result we are getting, when you call the method, it is giving a result. When you call a method, it is giving a result. When you call a method, it is giving a result. Now whatever the result we are getting, the result is given as in the list. Now class name dot method name parameter. Class name dot method name parameter. I hope you're good with this. Can you open the door first? Hey, Babu. Now, look at the format. So what we are doing here, whatever the method. Now my name Satish Mala is coming from method. Now when I say call me, when I say call me, whatever the name we gave, with that name it is giving. My name. So whatever the value you are giving, that value is coming as. With the result I can do whatever I want. I hope you are good with this. Am I clear with this one? Right? So if you want a method, from the Apex class to be called directly within the JavaScript, you define that method as remote action method. If you want a method from the Apex class to be called directly within the JavaScript, define that method as @ remote action. That method can have parameter, that method can have runtime. Method can have parameter, method can have runtime. I hope you are good with this. Clear for everyone? So @ future, @ is tester, @ test setup, @ again we have remote action. Some of the annotations. I hope you are good. So now tell me the difference between action function and remote action. Action function cannot pass a parameter. Action function cannot return a value. Remote action, we can pass a parameter. Remote action can return a value. It can return a value, we can pass a parameter. Whereas action function, they cannot pass the parameter, they cannot return the value. I hope you are good with this. Okay. But at the end of the game, all these are what? Asynchronous operation. What are those asynchronous operation? Re-rendered, rendered. Then we have action support. Support function polar region. All these are what? Asynchronous. All these are asynchronous scripting operations. All these are going to run asynchronously. From the wage, they are going to run asynchronously. Ajax functional. All these are called Ajax functionalities. What are they? Ajax functionalities which are defined by the Salesforce. Now, what are they? Re-render, rendered, action support, action function, action polar, action region, action status, remote action. Right. I hope you are good with this. Clear for everyone? Right. Now, let us go with the next one. I hope all the following terms are good. All the following terms are good. Anyone has any query on that?
Hello, Satish, I have one doubt.
Go ahead, Amma.
Hello.
Ask the question.
Go to the previous code. Here, what is the need of second line document dot get element ID?
Whatever the result you are getting, you are displaying it. Now you called a method performed some operation, you got a result. Now how do I know that you got a result? Now why did you call a method? You called a method to perform some operation. Now my operation was whatever the result you are giving, I want to display it. Got it, Amma?
It is assigning to right side to left side or left side to right side, this statement.
See, A equal to 10, you write it, or 10 equal to you write it, boss. Right? It's ascending, right? Always RHS is assigned to LHS.
Okay, fine.
Now, let us go to the next part of the story. I hope the following terms are clear. I'm making very clear. People are going to insist the following 6 points very frequently in the interview in terms of visual force. People should be very good with the following terms. They frequently ask the questions on the following. It is a must. They'll be asking questions on this. As I told you, page block, table. Auto display. These are very frequently asked questions. This set is very frequently asked set. Right. Now let us go to the next set of the point. The next set is Ajax toolkit. I want to work with Ajax toolkit. What is an Ajax toolkit? I want to write a SQL query from JavaScript. I want to make a DML operation from the JavaScript. From JavaScript, how can you interact with the database directly? Now, generally, if you want to make a DML operation, I will click on a button. I will go to Apex class. In the Apex class, we are making a DML. Or if you want a data, click on a button. We are going to Apex class, writing a SQL query, giving the data. Am I right? Now, what is my requirement? My requirement is I don't want to go to the Apex class. I want to perform everything from the. I don't want to go to Apex class. I want to perform everything from the JavaScript only. I don't want to go to Apex class. Everything I want to perform from the JavaScript. So how to make a DML from the JavaScript? How to make a SQL from the JavaScript? There is a question here. Now, in the Salesforce, people have implemented a Ajax toolkit. What is the toolkit name? Ajax toolkit. What is the purpose of this toolkit? This toolkit will help you to run the operation asynchronously, interact with the database, perform the DML operation. Using this toolkit, I can interact with the database, I can perform a SQL queries, I can perform a DML operation. Right. Now, the point here is, this operation is running from last. Okay. Now, how do you include that Ajax toolkit in the Visual Force page? Now I told Salesforce has designed Ajax toolkit. Using the toolkit, we can interact with the database. We can perform a DML. We can perform a SQL. The question here is, how do you include Ajax toolkit within the Visual Force page? Here we have connection.js file. What is the file name? Connection.js. Ajax toolkit, if you want to include within the Visual Force page, Ajax toolkit, if you want to include within the Visual Force page, we are supposed to use a connection.js file. Who has defined this connection.js file? Salesforce. We are including connection.js. We are including connection.js. If you want to include Ajax toolkit in the Visual Force page, then we are supposed to give if you want to include Ajax toolkit, what is the URL we are supposed to include? Connection.json. This Ajax toolkit is working on SOAP API web service. This is working on SOAP API web service. You can look at the URL salesforce.com/soap/Ajax/45.0 is the version of the API. SOAP/Ajax/45.0/connection.js. Now, okay, you included it. Now, after including it, now JavaScript is what? Asynchronous call. From the JavaScript, if you are making a connection to the database, it is not synchronous. Visual Force is what? Directly connected. But JavaScript is going to run independently from the Visual Force page. Your Visual Force is connected to server, but JavaScript is going to run independently. It is a asynchronous call. If it is a asynchronous call, when you are making a connection to the database, they are asking to which application you want to connect, to which production you want to connect. You want to log in like whom? JavaScript is going to run like asynchronous call. If you want to make a connection to the database from the JavaScript, you have to first establish a web service call. First, you have to make what? You have to make what? Web service call. Now, if you want to make a web service call, I have to pass my session ID. Now, from JavaScript, if you are making a call to database, you cannot directly call. First, you have to make a connection to the database. How can you make a connection? By making web service call. If you make a web service call, then they'll give you one session ID. With the help of that session ID, boss, this is my ID. Connect to this database and give me my data. You cannot directly make a call to database. You have to prove who you are. You have to prove who you are. There are two ways of proving who you are. What was that? Look at the point. sforce.connection. Because already you logged in, you have a session ID. Because I already logged in, I have a session ID. Pass that session ID. Boss, this is my session ID. Connect to this database. Then what I'm doing? Get session ID. Then print it. What we got again? Now we passed session ID. Now the current session ID, whatever we have, we passed it. Boss, this is my session ID. With this session ID, make my request to database. This is one format. No, I don't like to do this. I want to connect with my own username password. I don't want to log in like a current user. I want to connect to database like a student. Then what I do? Where result equal to sforce.connection. sforce.connection.login. What is your username? Notes@. What is the password? Now I already removed IP address restriction, right? Because I want everybody to log in. I kept IP ranges from 0 to 255. That is the reason only password. Otherwise, password plus security token. Otherwise, it should be what? Password plus security token. Did you understand my point? Because I want everybody to log into student account, I gave IP ranges as 0 to 255. That is the reason username, password. If I don't give that IP ranges, you have to give username, password plus security token. Right, boss? I hope you are good with this. Now either log in like current user or log in like specific user. I can use either this or this. First one, include connection.js file, then pass the session ID of the current user or specific user whom you want. If you are giving a specific user, username, password plus security token. If IP address restriction is not there, password, straight away we will give it. I hope you are good. Okay. Now, let us take the next example. These 2 points are clear, ma? Then again, script I am giving. On complete. Then I give look at this function. When is a function show, I'm giving s4's dot connection dot s4's dot connection dot session ID. S4's dot connection dot session ID. Then I'm writing a query string. Then I'm writing where query result s4's dot connection dot s4's dot connection dot query, s4's dot connection dot query, s4's dot connection dot query, s4's dot connection dot query. Now when you write a query, what is the result we are getting? If you observe all the statements, how are you giving? S4's dot connection dot login, S4's dot connection dot query, S4's dot connection dot session ID. So S4's dot connection is common. Dot session ID dot query dot login. So S4's dot connection is common, right, Amma? Am I clear? Am I clear with this? Then I clicked on it. When I clicked on it, we got a result here. Look at this. We got a result. So from JavaScript, I made a query. I got the result. But when you got the result, there is some you need to understand a few things here. This is the response what I received. So when I made a query from JavaScript, response came in the form of JSON. What is the format of the response? JSON response. Response came in the form of JSON. Response came in the form of JSON. Now, where is your result? This is your result. We don't want this done query locator. We don't want this. We want only this. Now, what is the data? Data is in the form of records. Records, list of records. When I made a query, the response came in the form of JSON. In the JSON, I want only records. So how do you take the records? Look at the point. People got the story? I want only records. Where result equal to query result dot get array of From the query result, get me only result. From the query result, get me only records. From the query result, get me only records. Have a preview. Submit. Now we got the data. Look at this data. Now we received only the result we received. Right, boss? Only the result we received. So how are you getting? Look at the point. S4's dot connection dot query. 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 Then what we're doing? Query result dot get array of records. Query result dot get array of records. Then what we are doing now? Take one by one value. For where I equal to 0, I is less than result dot. In the JavaScript we call length. We are taking one by one record. Then we are going to take my list equal to my list plus now what did I do? I took one by one name, added to what? In the list of record, one by one name I have taken, added to my list. Then I'm doing document dot hot my list. This is how we got the data. I hope you're good. We made a query, we got the result. From the result, I took all the names and kept in a separate list. Is there was clear for everyone? People are good. So how do you make a query? S4's dot connection dot query. We are going to get the response in the form of JSON. S4's dot connection dot query. Response will be in the JSON. I have to take only records from the JSON. Take one by one record, perform whatever the logic you want to do. Take one by one record, perform whatever the logic you want to perform. I hope you are good. Clear for everyone? Right, boss? Clear? Everyone has followed this point? Look at the code. Any query on this code? Line number 6 to line number 14. If you have any query on this, let me know. Line number 6 to 14. Any query? First, passing the session ID, then form the query, then write the query, get the result. From the result, get only records. From the result, get only records. Take one by one record. Take one by one record and capture the data what you want from the record. I hope you're good. Now, this is the way of writing the SQL query. If you want to make a DML operation, how do you write a DML operation? So here, if you want to write a DML operation, a quick points here. I'll complete a few examples here. So look at this example. Try to understand the example. Generally, if you want to make account ACC equal to, am I right? Same thing in Ajax toolkit, we write like new S force dot S object, S capital, O capital. New S force dot S object, S capital, O capital, where ACC equal to new S force dot S object, S capital, O capital. And what type of object you are creating? Here also, rest of the story is same. Then you give insert ACC. Here I am going to give S force dot connection dot create. Are you getting my point? Now here account ACC, there is var ACC. Why? In JavaScript every variable is var. Then here new account corresponding Apex class. In the JavaScript it doesn't know what is account. So from S force we are referring to an S object account. From S force we are referring to an S object account. S force dot S object, S capital, O capital, account. Then we can create the rest of the story. Now listen to the example. So everybody look at this example. This is common. This is how we got it. This is how I give. So basically, what I was doing in the UI, I was taking the name, phone, rating. First, look at the UI. What I made, look at the UI. Name, phone, rating. When I click on save, record should be saved. Now, did I take any Apex class here? There is no Apex class. So what I'm doing, var name equal to document dot get element by ID, page, form, page block, document dot get element, page block, page block, we are reading the value, name, phone, rating. Then I want to create a record where ACC equal to new S force dot S out. Then ACC dot name equal to ACC dot phone equal to then I want to insert ACC. Okay. Now it is expecting array of accounts. That's the reason accounts dot push. Then insert where result equal to S force dot connection dot create alert. Now look at the code. If you are finding anything difficult here, let me know. Whatever the name you entered, I read the name, phone number, rating. So generally in the JavaScript, if you want to perform any unit testing, I told you like your system.debug. Here we write console dot. Then have a preview. Now what we got here? We got a record ID. Take this record ID. What is the example? TCS example. Record is successfully. Right, boss? So how are you performing? S force dot connection dot create accounts. S force dot connection dot create accounts. I hope you are good with this. I hope you are good with this. Now, what type of ID we received here? Small or capital? Because I hope you are good with this. Okay. Now, let me take the ID because for the next example it will be helpful to me. Query. Because JavaScript is a case sensitive, I want to cross check whether it is a small or capital. What are you getting here? Capital ID. Fine. Now I want to perform update. If you want to perform update, what should I do? Write a query, get the data, update it. Write a query, get the data, update it. So I want to update the data. So I just want to convey that, boss, using JavaScript also, we can perform SOQLs and DMLs. I'll discuss the limitations of it. Okay. But there's a limitation for it. We'll discuss that point. So here we had then I was giving When I'm giving a search, click on go. I want to write a SQL query. Look at the point. Whatever the term you have given, based on the term, I'm going to get the data. Get me all the records whose industry is this. Then I'm giving here where document dot get form where query equal to where industry equal to. Now I can give here plus select ID comma name comma rating from account where industry equal to single code industry value single code close. Right, I give double quotes. It is the end of the double quotes. Right, we made a dynamic SQL query. Do you remember? I use a slash single quote for appending the string value. Do you remember the SQL queries? Then you get the result where query result get all the records. Once you get all the records, take one by one record. I equal to 0, I less than where ACC. Then I told ACC dot ID equal to result of ACC dot rating equal to then accounts dot push so you're giving S4s dot connection dot what did I do? I took one by one record. I created a new S object with the same ID. Whatever the result you gave, the same ID I gave. ACC.ID equal to result of ID. What does that mean? Referring to the same record, what you have given. That record rating equal to hot, then I pushed it. Did you get my point? You are giving some such text, boss. Look at the point again. Try to understand this point, everyone. Listen to the requirement. Listen to the requirement. Everyone, listen here. See. Am I right? Is it valid? Now we are writing a query, getting the record, modifying it, updating it. Now, how does it know? How does it know you have to update a particular record? Because that ACC.ID equal to, when you write a query, what does it mean? ACC.ID referring to some record. Right? That ACC is referring to a record. The record ID is available with me. If you give me record ID, if I modify, boss, update this particular record, name value equal to XYZ. Because you give ID, I was referring to the same record. Because you gave me ID, I was referring to the same record. Here also what I am doing? The same. ACC.ID equal to refer to this particular record and set the rating equal to what? Are you clear? Simple example, boss. What will happen? Update. Error. What is missing? Unless you mention the ID, you cannot update it. So when you write a query, we are getting the ID. That's how we are able to modify and update. Similarly, what I'm doing now, when you wrote a SQL query, you got a list of record, right? The list of record will contain IDs. The list of record will contain ID because I have ID. With the help of ID, I was able to modify. So what did I do? I took the ID of the record, I sent to ACC. Then I told, this is the record which you are supposed to update. This is the record which you are supposed to update. Okay. Go back to this. Sometimes people have to practice. Follow topics. Let's see. Now, there's a bug. The operation didn't happen. The operation didn't happen. So the operation failed. Where the operation failed? Check out anywhere. Get session ID is done first. Page, form. Then select ID, name, rating. Method itself is not called. The method itself is not called. Get a session ID.
Satish, in result, variable result, it should be get array of query result, right?
Records. No. Query result dot get array of records. The result we are going to get records. S4 dot connection dot query. Query where industry equal to single code. Industry value single quote. Okay. Console. Some case sensitive maybe issue. Let us check it out. Result. The drawback of the JavaScript is it is a case sensitive and it doesn't have a compiler. JavaScript is what? Interpreted language. Line by line it will execute, then only it throw error message. Remaining our programming language, all the errors will be displayed at a time. But here while running the first line it will execute. No error, run it. Second line, compile it, run it. Compile it, run it. Line by line it does. It is not a compiled, it is a interpreted. And it is a case sensitive. Operation started, but there is no data coming here. So let me check. Do you have any records? There is a record. So what is not coming here? This is the line which is not coming.
Satish, this ID name rating should be in small letters, right?
ID name, I have given page small, page FM
In
small.
the query.
Now the mistake here is, I have not mentioned page block. Wrong path I have given. There is a bug. The path here is, I did not mention the page block. Within the page block I gave, form directly element I gave. So that's the reason it's not working. I rectified it now. Energy. Select ID, name, rating from account where industry equal to energy. Now query is running. After the query is running, industry equal to energy. Then go back to the code. What is the code? Query result. Come again. The records are fetched. Then, yes, the operation is successfully done. Operation is successfully done. Now I have to go back to so the mistake what I made here is, while giving the path, I didn't mention the path of the page block, because of which I received the error. Okay. Now I want to check out whether my operation is success or not. How do I check out? A modified rating. Right? All the records are updated as well. Now, the point here is we are able to make a DML operation, SQL query from JavaScript. Then why are you going for Apex class? If you are able to do everything from a JavaScript, why we need an Apex class? Now, SQL query from the JavaScript using Ajax toolkit can only give you 200 records. How many records it can give you? 200 records. Second, on each record maximum 5 fields. It can give you 200 records with a maximum 5 fields. Now, Ajax toolkit can give you only 200 records. Ajax toolkit can give you only 200 records. Ajax toolkit can give you maximum 200 records. Ajax toolkit can give you maximum 200 records. If you want to give more than this, it's not possible. Okay. Maximum 200 records for 5 fields each. 200 records for 5 fields. I hope you're good. Any other query? Right, boss? So we are able to achieve SQL queries and DMLs from the JavaScript with the help of Ajax toolkit. I hope you're good. So that's all from my end for the day.